soon as I went live, I was like, oh, I'm cold. That sucks. All right. Good morning, everybody. Oh, my name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And you know what? I realized something today. I'm coming. I'm coming. We're just shitty at explaining stuff. That's why people don't like our stuff. Come on, Allison. So remember, every morning when we start our show, the first thing we do is we say, look, I could have pulled some bullshit and I could have sat, I don't know what the fuck I would have done, sat on my phone and played a music video and make you listen to the whatever. I don't do that. Okay. I'm just, we're just gonna start the show. Okay. I don't do, I'm always hot. I'm always trying to be anyway. I'd rather be hot than cold. But here, every morning we start this shit. Edwin Starr's War. Sometimes when I get in my head and I need to just I listen to fucking War. Oh. All right. So I figured out why Kara said I'm really disappointed that Pete the Python and Allie Gator did not do their job yesterday. But yeah, we're really bad at explaining stuff. Okay. So here I want to make sure I share with you. Here's the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of socialism. Okay. One, I'm the first one. I'm not skipping around. I'm not I'm telling you the first entry under the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of socialism. Any of various egalitarian economic and political theories or movements advocating collective or governmental ownership and administration of the means of production and distribution of goods. Okay? And I understand that heads exploded. You don't even, your head was off your body when I said egalitarian. You went, what the fuck is that bullshit ass word? Okay? Look, I've spent a lot of my life around people. I'm just, this is just how it is. Okay? I've spent my whole life around people. This is just how this is. Okay? They see egalitarian and they're immediate like fuck all that. What is that shit? Okay? And it's a belief in human equality, especially with respect to social, political, and economic affairs. Uh, so you can see what is missing, what is fucking missing from our current uh, elected group of elected officials. 535 people. It's not even that many people. Okay. Egalitarian. Yeah, I know. It sounds like you're chewing on concrete when you say it. Egalitarian. Yep. It means like pro-human or like pro-people, pro-equality. Hmm. So anytime you see egalitarian, that's a good thing. Pro-equality, right? Like your fucking DEI is egalitarian. It's pro-equality. Okay. Affirmative action, egalitarian. Okay. Socialism is egalitarian. Why? One of the, foundations, as the person developing the American Socialist Party, at absolutely the foundation of the American Socialist Party is the that I'm an advocate for equal rights, and that civil rights is like the most noble thing you could aim your life toward, right? And that so many people are so quick to either give up on their dreams or never pick a lane. And so many of the people I've ever met in my life didn't want to pick a team or a side. And I would never ask you to declare yourself Democrat or Republican, because if you feel the need to do that, I think something might actually be wrong with you. Like, you need to go talk to somebody. Then it ain't me. Okay? Um, and I think every single day on both sides of that political spectrum, every day I'm I'm left saying, what the actual fuck are these people doing? Kicking this budget bill around. Uh, somebody that voted, somebody that's a senator that voted for this bill told House Republicans not to vote for the bill. Do you see how we're not being governed by egalitarian people who give a shit about other people, right? We're being governed by people that were dissuaded by money. And there's some degree of this that I go, you can't blame them. Like, you really don't get paid that much to be a politician. And it's hard out here for a pimp. But I just so happen to think you could make money doing anything. It didn't have to be being a corrupt government official. If you just wanted to make money, you could have just done that. I don't know if anybody's ever told you this. There's tons of crooked ass industries and crooked ass companies that you could go to, okay? And as long as whatever you're doing works, hey, you'll get invited to that old boys club eventually, right? And instead, these people also wanted power, so they wanted it all. I forgot to tell y'all this. You can't have it all. I just, hmm, when it comes down to money, power, respect, you can't have it all. Chasing Oz had the best name. Alligator Auschwitz. Boca Raton Burka. That was the other one I heard. Or is it Borka? Sorry, I fucked that up. Boca Raton Borka. If I remember correctly, Borka was one of the first three concentration camps. I'm not trying to fuck up my history class. I thought I paid attention in those classes. Yeah. I actually lost a really close friend, not to bum your shit, Crush. But he died. When I came home from the Marine Corps, and I moved to the northeast side of town, um, I lived in this little shitty apartment for a year, and my neighbors were kids that were under 25. I was under 30, so we were like in the same like 5 to 10 year range. And I think I was like 24, 25. Yeah, when I met, 20-year-old kids. And I ended up being friends with one of them for a while. He was my best friend for probably yeah, like the first 5 years after he turned 21. And he kept picking up habits, man. And so I smoke a little Ripple, right? But I don't really drink. I'm more of a social drinker, a sipper, if you will. I don't like drinking warm beer, right? So that's about the reason I would finish one. You know what I mean? It's who wants to drink it when it's warm? Um, but I noticed, you know, one of the last few times I met him, I'm trying not to walk all over this man's grave. Uh, he was kind of doing it all, man. He was a chain smoker, and he was drinking a lot, and he was doing a little blow, and he was, you know what I mean? And he was making really good money, and he had a really nice car, and he had gotten a girl pregnant, but said fuck that bitch, and like he was just around slinging dick, and he died suddenly, and I remember thinking like he really was for a while. He really had it all. He had touched it. He had touched it all. Um, Money. When you talk about power, he had gotten promoted at work, right? So he was making better money than I think we'd ever made at that point. I think yeah, he was getting paid more money than either of us had ever made, right? Moved out of his parents' house into his own place, had his own, you know what I'm telling you? But like he was kind of doing it all too, right? Like chain smoking cigarettes, blowing trees, drinking, probably popping pills, taking, doing blow, and you can't do that. I literally believe it. You cannot have it all. You cannot have it all, cannot do it all. No, sir. No, ma'am. Mm-mm. You might want to actually focus on doing less. I think a lot of people just do too much, you know. I've tried to tell people my whole life, if I find out that you don't exercise and you chain smoke cigarettes and you smoke and you take pills and you do coke, I'm not your friend. I'm not going to be friends with people that try to do it all, right? Cuz you think you're bulletproof and you're just paper mache. And here today, gone tomorrow, 100%. And that's kind of where I am mentally. Is I'm like I got to get all this bullshit out before I get popped or I die. Um when we talk about socialism, where it's like, what do you mean? Okay. And a lot of people point to how, if we want to implement socialism, Jared, and we look at the definition and we say, how do we seize the means of production? Unions, the rise of unions. What we must do is you must join and be an active member in a union. Union registration has been on a downswing for the last like 70 years. And if you think about how fucked the American person has become over the last, like, I don't know, 70 years, and you see how what happens is people are lazy and you can't call people out and say, where the fuck were you? Right? And think about how important unions are, right? And think about calling out someone for missing a union meeting, right? And saying like, "Hey, why weren't you at our fucking union meeting?" Is kind of important. Bob Bob said, "Guess what I got for my birthday? An upper respiratory infection. Yay! Go Bob." Oh, wait a minute. Bob, don't die. Our live just got restricted and I'm really not sure why. I don't know understand why our live got restricted. What did I say? Bob got us restricted? Is it because I said a medical term? I'll be back. I'll be back. I'm gonna reset my live so I can lose those restrictions. That's so dumb, y'all. What did I say? Do you think it was URI? Oh, I mean, I guess, Deb. Wild. So yeah, the reason that we don't have socialism is because it's hard to define it and people are stupid. So yeah, what I was getting at was, okay, egalitarianism is a belief in human equality, especially with respect to social, political, and economic affairs. So the people that you want in charge, you need to get from them an egalitarian vibe, right? And the way that you demonstrate an egalitarian vibe is you don't take money from big PACs, big political action committees, big fundraising organizations, and you spur those and you only take individual donations. And you want a good mix of people willing to give you over $100 and people that can't, right? You want to demonstrate mathematically that about half the people that like me, are broke, and the other half are good. And both of them decided whether broke or poor. Here's the thing, look at how terrible financially and economically the United States is doing right now because the person in charge is an asshole and nobody likes him. And the problem that Donald Trump has always had is that he's always been in charge and able to just fire anybody that doesn't like him and replace them with somebody that likes him. And here's what I'll tell you. I have been in leadership at every job I've ever had since I was like 15 years old. And the thing about it is that everybody had a better like you, or they're gonna make you look like shit and you're gonna get fucking demoted. Ask me how I know. Because every place I've ever worked, I got promoted, my team did excellent, and then you looked around, and one of the things that I've always learned is as your ship rises and you look around, like don't look too hard, because you'll find, oh, this person who probably didn't need to get promoted to management now has a struggling team, and oh, look, they got fired. And you're like, well, why did they get promoted? Oh, because they're dating one of the managers. So that's bullshit. Right? Right. So that's how in the military, see in the military, one of the things that we don't generally have is nepotism. Because normally, you don't have people that are in the same family tree in the same unit or people dating in the same unit. Now, this isn't to say that it isn't an awful lot like prison and that there aren't like same-sex relationships. That shit happens. And it's not like people don't venture out and meet people. But anyway, we're straying away from the point. Okay. So, oh yeah, going back to the house again. Yeah, it's going back to the house. But yeah, the reason that we don't have socialism is because we're bad at explaining it, and instead the oh, you did this instead of just socialism. Oh, that was dumb. So in the United States, what we have private equity that controls your retirement accounts. And I'm just pointing out that that's a big deal. Um, People that vote, and for the record, I do want to point this out. There are a lot of people that don't look like me that this administration is targeting, but its actual bills that it's trying to pass are disproportionately affecting people that look like me. So I'm having a hard time because on the one hand, I'm not a fucking racist. So when I say, "Oh, people that look like me are being disproportionately affected by this bill," but I also know that people that look like me disproportionately voted for this shit. I kind of halfway don't feel so bad. Yeah. Now I feel fucking real bad for all the like people of color, women and children who did not vote for this shit that are going to be impacted by this bill when and if it passes. And keep in mind, I expect it to continue to get torn apart. So remember, because Donald Trump does not know what he's doing, he is trying to rule by fiat, and then under the guise of a reconciliation bill, which does not require a 60 vote threshold in order to pass, it just has to pass the Senate and the House and go through a parliamentarian. Um, Many of the things that are like, oh, holy shit, that's terrible, those things are going to get struck from the bill. And I'm confident that the House is going to pass this bill, which is the greatest transfer of wealth in history. And I just want to point this shit out that this disproportionately affects white people and people that voted for this shit. And so it's very difficult for me, very difficult, because on the one hand, I want to be like, I'm supposed to be sad. What? But on the other hand, I know that a lot of people that don't look like me are going to be affected by this, and this is going to affect their health care. This is going to affect their nutrition. This is going to affect their ability to get medication. Let me explain to you the difference. Yeah, let me explain the difference between healthcare with and without Medicaid. Okay? So I worked in this space for 4 years. I worked only with people that had Medicare, that was a requirement. And then my primary clientele also had Medicaid. So these people, these Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP people, that's my clientele. Those are my people all over the United States. I was one of the very few people that had a 50 state profile. I could do business with anyone in any state in the United States. Okay? And I've been having these same conversations for a long ass time, budget conversations. When you talk to someone that's on Medicaid and they have good health care, first of all, they're like, hey, I don't know if you can help me. Hey, Jerry, I have really good health care. I don't pay anything for it. I don't have to pay to use it. My medicine doesn't cost anything. In fact, they give me thousands of dollars a year for things like dental vision and hearing, and I even get a monthly stipend for shit like bills and groceries. And it's actually hard to help people that have it because you're like, wow, you've got it all. It also just so happens that like 90% of the time they left some meat on the table. Okay. And you're able to find them healthcare that gives them more money in an area they need and better benefits for stuff like food and bills. Usually you're able to help them. Very infrequently, over a 5 year period, did I run into someone uh, that had the best healthcare they could get. Okay, so understand that. And I didn't work for one healthcare company. I worked with a lot of healthcare companies. So when I talk to someone on the phone, I can see every healthcare plan in your zip code. Okay. Oh, I got the fuck out of that industry. It's terrible. It's soul sucking, and it doesn't pay enough. Um, you can't pay me enough to work in that industry. Hmm. So I'm telling you a story as to why. So when people have it good, it costs them nothing. Their life is better with this healthcare. It's good. Life is good. I can get to all my appointments. I can get all my medications. I don't have to, I can go to the dentist. I can go to the eye doctor. I can go to the ear doctor. I don't have to pay anything for any of that. And you're just like, that sounds awesome. How do I get here? You have to be destitute. Oh. Hmm. So, if you don't have Medicaid and you say, how much is it a month? It's a 50-50 on whether they're actually paying for it monthly. And so that right there is kind of a heartbreaker because a lot of what I learned is even if you don't have Medicaid, you probably should not be paying for healthcare. As someone who now works in fucking finance, let me say that again. Monthly, if you can swing it, you should not be paying monthly for healthcare. Because when you current under this current system, hey Val, when you under this current system, when you enroll in Medicaid and you can still pay, it's like $190 a month, I think, almost $200 a month. So it's not that much of a savings from what you pay when you work. Okay. Nauseous Ambiance. I fucking love that name. 185. Sorry, man. So it's like $185 a month. So that I'd say that's less than half. Because I know a lot of people that pay about 300, yeah, 300 to $400 a month for one person's healthcare, right? So when you go on Medicare and you are still working, it's like $185 a month. That's your minimum out of pocket cost every month for healthcare. So yeah, it does potentially for a lot of people like cut your healthcare costs in half. Okay. Now, those healthcare plans, and I'm talking about Medicare Advantage because what idiot would sign up for a supplement? Let me just throw that the fuck out there. As somebody who is now in finance, I don't even care if you're on a supplement. Dumb. Unless you literally cannot get a Medicare Advantage plan, Medicare supplements are throwing money in the trash can. It doesn't even work everywhere. It's the biggest scam I've ever heard of in my life. People got sold hard on Medicare supplements, and it absolutely bankrupted our elders. And they've tried to reverse course and try to get everybody under Medicare Advantage. And this is how I know like universal healthcare is not what I'm not advocating for is the government to control your healthcare. I just want to point this out because I hear stupid fucking arguments all the time when people say socialism won't work because you don't want the government controlling your healthcare. That's not what I'm advocating for. What I'm saying when I'm very pointed about what I'm saying. If you have Medicare and Medicaid in the United States and you enroll in a Medicare Advantage prescription drug plan, that's called a dual special needs plan, D-SNP. It has no cost. You don't pay to see the doctor. Your drugs are fucking free. They even give you money for dental, vision, and hearing, and they might even give you some money for groceries and bills. See, the healthcare already exists. These same companies that have been fucking us over forever have to give it away to people that can't afford it. And there's people out here that are caped for these healthcare companies. What they'll go out of business. They operate in 33 of 34 developed countries have universal healthcare, and all these healthcare companies operate in those other countries. And they make billions of dollars just brokering healthcare. And oh, by the way, guess what? When healthcare doesn't cost anything, they also don't turn it down nearly as often. So you know all those stories that you hear where you're like, "Oh my God, they needed to go to healthcare, go get done, and they couldn't get it done." Guess what? When you're paying for healthcare, people at a much higher clip contacted me and said, "I got to get out of this healthcare plan." Why? Because I'm paying for it, and the healthcare I need is not available to me. And you're like, "Whoa." How are you paying for healthcare and it doesn't do what you need? And I can put you in a healthcare plan that you don't have to pay for that'll do what you need or else. You get what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, a lot of people for a long time didn't want free healthcare, but I worked with fucking retirees. I was one of the best in the business. When you tell someone, oh, you have Medicare Part A and B, that's $185 a month right now. You also have a prescription drug plan that's, let's say anywhere between $10 and $100 a month. And then you also have a Medicare supplement and you pay $330 a month for that. Okay. So we'll put aside your Medicare cost, that $185 a month. You're paying that anyway. Let's look at this anywhere from like $200 to $500 a month that you're paying for healthcare. And let me get your doctors and your medication, and let me show you Medicare Advantage. And you show them Medicare Advantage that their doctors are covered, their drugs are covered. It's one healthcare plan instead of two. It costs $0 a month, and I'll be the one to help you enroll in it, and then I'll help you next year too. Jared, you're saving me anywhere from like $3,000 to $5,000 a year, and I'm retired. Do you know how much money that is? Yeah, it's like $3,000 to $5,000. Life changing. Okay. And now I work in finance and I work with people that are maxed out on their credit cards because look around. Look at the world we live in where people are sitting up at night, can't sleep, thinking about how am I ever going to pay my bills? And now I save people six figures and 20 years off repaying their debt, and I get fucking paid for that. And so there's a reason there's a reason I left fucking healthcare. It's because I'm gonna be good and no matter what I'm doing, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. But if I'm gonna get paid way fucking better to do even more, because my favorite thing, can you make a video of the last 10 minutes? Really good at info. Nobody's ever asked me to do that, Cole, so it's 8:34. But yeah, the reason that we don't like it is because we think only poor people would want it. And my thing is, why would I want to pay for something that the free version's better, right? Why would I want to pay for two different plans, a prescription drug plan now there are, just for the record, because I'm talking to someone that used to work in medical billing to make sure my shit's straight. There is like a percentage chance that the supplement and prescription drug plan they're on is correct. There is some percent chance. But here's the only way it works for me. If it's 10% or less of your monthly income. Do you get what I'm saying? In order for me personally to be okay with someone paying out of pocket for healthcare, they have to have oodles and they got to have money falling out of their fucking ears and I not give a shit about their dollars. And there's too many people that they forget if somebody is talking to you on the phone for any amount of time, they need fucking help. They would not be here if they didn't. People fucking hate people. Holy shit. So that's the reason that you pay for healthcare. California specialists don't like Medicaid pay. Oh, because they pay according to the chart and not on whatever you mark it up to. Like they'll let you do, yeah, yep. And one of the things that my favorite thing is about the supplements and prescription drug plans is that they don't cover everything. No healthcare plan's perfect. I just think you can get a lot closer, keep a lot more money in your pocket with Medicare Advantage than you'd ever get with a sup. Yeah, because you can't mark up against the state. against a Medicaid biller, right? Like, but yeah. And everybody says, what about the doctors? They got to get paid. If they're not getting paid, they're going to move to a foreign country. Okay. You're already experiencing some drift, where people with specialized degrees are moving to other countries. That happens all the time. So, what we must do is everybody must come to an understanding of what the future is going to look like. I realized today as I started the show, I realized I haven't done anything. I just have so far to go, right? I haven't accomplished anything yet. I have a lot to do. And it for some people, I think if I weren't broken as a person, I think that it could feel heavy and like a big weight on my shoulders. But it's like I have a lot to chew on. I have a lot of meat to get through. And one of the things that I want to make sure that I use is my platform and my time with you to explain my thought process and why I feel the way I do, right? And it hinges a lot on seeing all the people around me being fucking unhappy and shit, and realizing like there are people like, what are we supposed to fucking do? What you're supposed to do is uh, create community. You're supposed to organize and plan. And again, I want to make sure that we say the founder of the American Socialist Party says, look, I voted as a Democrat most of my life. Okay. I have also, 20 years ago, voted Republican one time, George W. Bush. Everybody makes mistakes. But every time after that, I voted for um, a Democrat. But I never called myself Republican or Democrat. It seemed kind of dumb. It kind of depends on who's an idiot or not. Um, yeah. And again, as I've said before, the way this is shaking out is this is the death of the Republican Party. Watch. They won't make it. What will happen is FDT will perish and his ilk will follow him. So all those people that were ride or die, Rider Muerte, straight out of the TikTok shop, TikTok shop, TikTok shop. Um, those people are gonna turn and go with him. Um, yeah, I want to make sure that to finish my coherent thought. One of the reasons that we don't have socialism is because we're shitty at explaining how it works and what it is and what it does. And what socialism's aim is to seize the means of production. And so many people see that as like a violent thing, and it's not. What I am is a syndicalist. What I have done is my research. And it was like, okay, how do you deliver socialism to the people? What you have to do is you have to grow leaders. How do you grow leaders? Okay, you can identify as a socialist and be any job, any vocation. If you join a union and seek leadership in that union, you'll probably get paid better as like a union steward than just being like an entry level employee, I'm guessing. And once you get involved in a union and you become a leader within a union and you become a speaker for your union and you're actually standing up and speaking out, hey, that's what a great politician looks like. And I know there's gonna be people out there that are like, "Ja, I don't want to do that. I'm not a politician, Jared." Man, at some point you're gonna have to choose between being a fucking pastor or politician, or if you know what I mean, you're gonna have to fucking choose. If what I'm saying makes sense to you, I can assure you there ain't a massive list of people that just get this shit. You know what I'm saying? All right. And I do not, as the founder of the American Socialist Party, I do not hold up the ideals of capitalism at all, right? I don't think that profit over people is the correct play. Capitalism is an economic system where the means of production are privately owned and goods and services are produced for profit, with prices largely determined by supply and demand in a market. Okay? It's simple. Capitalism is simple and stupid and killing all of us. Socialism, my flavor of socialism, as I'm a syndicalist, just relies on the importance of unions and creating leaders through unions. And those people who their job becomes fighting for pay and benefits for their uh, colleagues, those people would be great elected officials, right? Because one of the things that I've told you all is look, I was in a Marine Corps infantry during a time of war. And you know what I learned? You don't rise to the occasion. No one is like a superstar. You fall to your level of competency. So, hope this helps. If I'm telling you, hey, look, electing the heads of large corporations, taking the money from large corporations who will literally kneecap their own people protesting for better health care and better pay, who will literally turn the hose on their own people, Amazon, electing those people hasn't worked out. We should elect the union leaders, the people that'll stand up for people like Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We should be electing those people. Why? Because they're not a hero. Keep on living for life. Asked, do you believe Republicans send people to war for profit? Well, I think all elected officials do. But I think the military industrial complex is on both sides of the aisle. Remember when Joe Biden got elected, what was the first thing that he did? Signed a $230 million contract with Raytheon. You remember that? That was one of his first acts as president. Don't ever fucking forget I said it. So the military industrial complex is on both sides of the aisle. They have a grip on American politics. And look, here's the thing that I learned while I was on active duty in the Marine Corps infantry during a time of war. That money, that money that our tax dollars gives to the military industrial complex, guess whose hands it never fucking touches? Guess whose job it never made easier? Mine. It never I didn't get an upgraded shooty shooty bang bang. I didn't get that. My Oakley goggles, my elbow pads, my knee pads, my gloves, the pads that goes over your boots, those are donated by a company to the tune of a few million. Hmm? So one of the problems with the current form of government is that outside assistance, like you can literally influence government with money. You can just You can just pay a politician and they'll support whatever. Angie, the reason is that we shouldn't. The answer to your question is we should stop paying. No, no. He said Oakley boots too. No. I only had the issued boots for a while. Once I actually got to 2.2, look, this is what kind of person I am. This is what I do in video games too. Once I start doing something, I go to the person that I view as playing perfect. This person's doing perfect. Hey, I'm thinking about getting some new boots. Got any recommendations? Dude, that person is just going to tell you, I've had these, and these. These are the ones that I have now, and they're the best. Fucking done. Saved myself all that other money. I'm just going to go buy these boots. So, I don't remember what I had, but my fucking staff sergeant, Sandy, who's now a warrant officer. Okay. But yeah, um, the money that our tax dollars gives to the military industrial complex does not impact the soldier, the sailor, the marine, the coast. I don't know what the fuck they call a coastie. I don't, a coast guardsman. I don't know what you call it. I never really thought about that. So when you get let down by people, know that I'm working. I wanna debate these people the rest of my life. Um, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, you know. And the thing about it is that I get to tell them like I expected you to do X, Y, Z, and that didn't happen. Like here's the thing that we know because we did our homework. So we know exactly why Kamala Harris and Joe Biden didn't say anything, and that the Democrats have largely been like, no, 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 no. The 2024 US election results are correct. There has to be a million reasons why you would allow that to happen without saying, "Hey, this guy is fucking cheated at everything he's ever done in his entire life." Might want to verify this result. So, here's the thing. I have been cognizant of climate change and its rapid intensification and the fact that this is our second year over plus 1.5 degrees Celsius. Oh, I know there's some of you that are hearing me talk about fucking climate change that are like, oh, he can talk about that too? Yeah. So I won a science fair when I was in sixth grade explaining climate change using parts per million of carbon monoxide in volcanoes in Hawaii in the like 90s. Hmm. It blew away my fucking teachers. And for the record, should I say more? It was a long time ago. I procrastinated the fuck out of that, and that was all done last second. So I knew a lot about climate change and was called crazy in elementary school, um, for trying to explain to people the change in the density of the air inside volcanoes means we're all gonna. Ugh. So, and I watched the newsroom, right? You hear my dogs whining in the background. We were talking about sad shit, climate change. They probably heard my wife and I having this conversation before. But yeah, um, I think the Democrats didn't want it. I know that people don't want to hear that, but I think that this is our second year above 1.5 degrees Celsius. You don't know what's going to happen. If there's some things environmentally that could happen, there are some decisions that could be made that will alter the course of human history. That I am leery. I don't want someone like Donald Trump in charge, but I'm afraid that if we had gone any other direction than we going, it'd be even fucking worse. And what will happen that Donald Trump will basically fail every possible checkpoint for leadership along this path. He is just incapable of doing the right thing because all of the people in his ear have an agenda or they're a bootlicker. So his problem is that he's not ever getting good feedback. He's never being told walk back all these tariffs, unfuck all these relationships with all of these leaders of these countries, stop these fucking wars to the best of your ability, and free Palestine and Slava Ukraine. And I want to make sure I use my platform to say it's abhorrent that the people that you and I vote for, the people that are meant to represent all of their constituents, it's abhorrent that the people that you and I vote for aren't standing in front of a camera pretty fucking regularly saying, I can't abide this. This shit is absurd. And I understand like money is a damn thing. I get all that. I've I've just I've been to the mountaintop. Let me explain. I got broken when I was like 21. Yeah, I don't think I've ever told this story. My parents made good money, so I had a good childhood. In terms of like I got to do everything and the more I did, the less I was around my fucking parents. So it was a plus for everybody involved. I am me and it's not because of spending all of my time in my daddy's lap. Let's just say it like that. I was out that motherfucker, as as they say. Um, when you are out that motherfucker, you are on your own pretty early. So from the time I was like 16, I was paying for my car, its repair and function, its insurance, its gas, any traveling, I paid for that from the time I was about 16 years old. So yeah, about 25 years. About 25 years I've been doing this on my own. And when I was 5 years old, my then German Baptist babysitters taught me how to play uh, five card draw. And they lied to my parents and said they were teaching me to play Old Maid, and they got away with it. So I knew how to play poker as a little kid, and the poker boom happened when I was in high school slash early college before I could actually play. And when I was at Purdue, um, I met and am still friends with a guy named Chris Lacey, who was Mr. Football, was a wide receiver at Purdue. He had blown out his knee and he was on the road to recovery when I met him. And we have, like I said, been friends for over 20 years, right? So this is more like 20 years ago. So he and I spent all our time together, all our spare time, like best friends do. And a lot of it was spent, drinking vodka Red Bulls, playing in poker tournaments on Poker Stars because I wasn't 21 yet. And so for about a year leading up to my 21st birthday, I was reading Doyle Brunson's Super System. I was I was playing cash. I was multi-tabling party poker when you could, I think you could do 7 up to 14 tables at once. And just being able to sit in the decision tree, right? Are we folding our opening hand or are we playing this hand, and that allow you to auto muck when it gets to you, go to the next decision tree, right? And for the record, this is not me telling you I was making a bunch of money. You got to make your mistakes first and pay your dues first before you're ever going to get paid doing everything. And you got to put 10,000 hours in. And if you don't, it's going to be a fucking rough ride for you. So that whole first year of playing poker, I'd call that a wash. And I would even say the first like 15 months that I played poker was a wash. Um, but by the time I turned 21 and within a few months of turning 21, I was going to a casino twice a month. I was playing in 2 cash games a month. I was regularly rolling around with a few $1,000s on my person, and had bought and sold a house all before, all after like leaving college and joining the Marine Corps. Right? I had already like been an adult. Right? I'd paid cash for a house and then had to sell the shit, fucking sell all my put all my belongings in storage and get the fuck out of Dodge. uh, my girlfriend cheated on me. And when I went to the recruiting station, I weighed 328 pounds. And the guy said, "You're too fat to serve your country." And I was like, "Oh, nobody fucking wants me. Right? I'm going to lose a fucking 100 pounds. I'm going to fix myself." Um, so know that I have already known that money cannot buy you happiness. I found that out. I found that out before I was 25. I found out that it doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter what kind of car you drive, doesn't matter where you live, who you're with. Money cannot buy happiness. It could get you in the fucking neighborhood though. Don't get it twisted. Um, and so for the record, happiest I've ever been is the brokest I've ever been. Just not breaking. I certainly did not enjoy the fall from having money to being destitute, asking strangers for money on the internet, right? But the happiest I've ever been is with the least I've ever had, not the most. The least happiest I've ever been is when I had the most, when I was making the most. And keep in mind, it wasn't a bad life at all. I had like four appointments a month, 2 cash games, 2 trips to Vegas. It was regularly anywhere from like $3,000 to $10,000. I didn't play tournament poker. I just played cash games. Yep. But I was under 25 with a house I owned and a car I owned. Not many people can say that. And then my girlfriend cheated on me, and I was like, how about this for a rug pull? Uh, I'm just gonna sell the house and move. Join the Marine Corps. Mhm. Stop. I saved up my money, paid my bills ahead, and paid extra on all my bills. So like my light bill and stuff. I had a positive balance on those accounts so that my girlfriend who cheated on me couldn't also steal my money. hmm hmm So when I was young, I learned like it can certainly find unhappiness. It can certainly find it. Money can't make you happy, but it can certainly help you find unhappiness. And I think it has a lot to do with the jarring impact of people not having to worry. I think that's one of the thing that keeps people from changing their life that talk to me is that when you stop worrying about things because things are taken care of, um, it can have a profound impact on you. And don't be surprised. Um, Again, one of the things I've said is I'm not interested in running for political office. My purpose in forming the American Socialist Party is to help shape and mold the kinds of leaders that you'll want to vote for. Why? Because I don't call myself a social democrat or a democratic socialist. Democracy is only as good as it holds. And as far as I'm concerned, we live in a two-tier democracy that disproportionately impacts people of color, women, children, and it'll have little to no impact on me because I'm a cis white male. I am a disabled veteran though, so I do constantly want to say like I still am at risk of losing my benefits there too. So it's not entirely selfless, and I have to acknowledge that. hmm That I am here every day because I got stake in this too, right? I got something to lose too, you know. My disability benefit pays my mortgage, and how that impacts you is that I don't have to seek publication with my podcast. I can keep it as big or as small as I want. And I know that mass appeal would be great, but if I'm not able to defend myself, I'm not seeking a wider audience. Does that make sense? Annie Rome said, all of our country will suffer. You're absolutely right. I think that they're being conservative on the negative impact of this bill. Oh, I didn't finish my thought from the beginning of the show. The difference between somebody not having to pay their healthcare costs and being able to go to all their appointments and get all their medication and treatment and live a high quality of life, the losing that healthcare, it now means that they probably can't get to all their appointments, probably can't afford all of their medication, and probably are going to suffer like negative mental health issues as a result of losing their Medicaid. You're taking people out of a healthcare situation in which their needs are met and putting them into a healthcare situation where their needs are no longer met. This will cause an increase in crime as people become desperate. You want to know what's going to turn this country into a shithole and turn these cities into shitholes? When all these poor racist people that live out in the rural parts of the country, when all their small clinics and hospitals go out of fucking business and they can't go get their oxygen, they can't go get they can't go get their shit at the local that fucking CVS went out of business and the closest one is in the fucking city. And what happens when you go to the big city and there's a scarcity issue? And you go to the big city and you are about to die, need your medicine really bad. TikTok shop, TikTok shop, TikTok shop. And there's a scarcity issue. So now you have no money, you're out of town, you are sick, you need this medication, you can't get it. You voted for this. This is exactly what you voted for. And the closer we get to the passage of this bill, the more we find out who is being negatively impacted by the passage of this bill. And it's largely the people that voted for Donald Trump. So it's very difficult for me. Yellow Red said they deliver oxygen. Thank God, right? What about when it doesn't show up? It's the same thing, Yellow. What about when they don't show up because you don't have the money for that anymore? Unless you're in the facility. I kind of consider this minutia, but we'll keep going. hmm hmm Not all of it, right? And remember, this is the US government pushing a lot of the healthcare costs back on the state. But yeah, a lot of people have been asking what are we to do? Stop paying federal taxes. Go to, like I use ADP, that's who pays me. You can go in there and stop paying federal taxes. We could choke them out of money. Make sure you take that money you save and you put it in an account, knowing you're gonna have to pay that at the end of the year. But I mean, that's what my wife's doing. Hmm. Your paycheck goes up a little bit, but you're doing everything you can to make sure. I mean, think about it. When in your life ever, there's a lot of people in here. There's like 40 people in here right now. So here's the question. When have you ever thought about not paying your federal taxes before in your life? Never. Never. The only reason that I'm paying federal taxes is because I'm getting paid more than I've ever been paid in my life. So I'm gonna go ahead and pay my taxes on that because, like, what if it's like thousands of dollars a month? What the fuck? Like, I'm not a responsible adult, but like, if that federal tax is only gonna impact your paycheck by like $100, stop paying federal taxes. Put that money in savings in case something fucking happens. You might need a tire. Gabby says and asks, because it's kind of a statement question, why do people, why do they want people to die? Because that's what will happen. So, first of all, it's racism. It's the racism. Um, when you look at how Russia is tied to the West, it's white supremacy and racism. This is like a handshake agreement between Russia and Republicans that as long as we continue to be divisive, as long as, hey, you know what? You know what's probably happening right now and is gonna happen, and you're gonna be like, oh my God, who could have ever seen this happen? Kirsten Hillebrand is gonna become a Republican. Watch. Why? Because of all the negative shit she's gonna catch for being racist about Zoran Mamdani. She is catching so much shit for her racist ass comments. Hey, and that's my thing where I'm like, you see how I'm saying like no one I've ever met in my life, good or evil, ever called themselves Democrat or Republican. How could you hear what that woman said about Zoran Mamdani and be like, I'm a Democrat, I'm supporting this shit? No. Nah, I ain't on that fucking team, doggy. Exactly that. AI pack runs this country. Have you seen people, either elected officials or people close to elected officials, that say things like Israel over America? And you're just like, what? You're a full English speaker. You're like born in Maryland. What are you talking about? Um, and what I'd tell you is when you have a clear ego problem and it has never quite been fed, when your ego's never quite been fed like it should. And not only does being a Zionist feed your ego because you have to adopt the thought process that you're a chosen one. Like you saw Michael Rappaport, he and other a specific small ass group of people on this planet call themselves the chosen one, the chosen ones, the Israeli Jews. Okay, and it's not Jewish people; it's people that call themselves Israeli. Why? Yeah, in order to say shit like that without you being like a horrible person, Why though? Well, the reason that there shouldn't be people just calling themselves Israeli is because Israel didn't exist up until 1948. In 1948, David Ben-Gurion, who was then the head of the Jewish Agency, established Israel with the idea of mimicking. Basically, Israel is there to mimic what the United States has done over the course of its history by it being expansionist and imperialist. And the thing about it is, Americans have to watch it from a world away and think like, well, at least that ain't us. Honey, that's how we got here. What the fuck are you talking about? If you think what Israel's doing in Gaza isn't how Americans treated the Indians, and what's even crazier is now when you see what's going on in Israel and how they treat people in Gaza, hey, know that that's coming to the United States. Why? Because what happened was you get to a certain point in the tiers of violence and it becomes unspeakable violence, right? And unspeakable cruelty. And when you go up against the Israelis, one of the things that you learn, 'cause militarily, uh, my unit, Second Battalion, Second Marines Weapons Company, 2-2, when they were on the 26 MEU, they did training with the Israelis. And one of the things that them boys told me was those people are crazy. They they are willing to escalate things to a level of cruelty that you and I don't know and don't understand. And what happened was in America, the people that are like in charge of other people that watched that shit, that were like, there's no way Americans would allow other Americans to do that shit. What happened? The IDF, they made that into a commodity and they sell it to people. That level of violence that even the US military was like, yeah, that's just not for us. We're not teaching our guys that. It's beyond the pale. It's beyond the scope and what we're willing to let our people do. And instead of it being like condemned and like you got to stop the level of violence that the IDF's willing to execute, they commoditized it and made it into like a training program. And who did they sell it to? Wait for it. Wait for it. Police departments in the United States. Yeah. And other government agencies like your FBI, CIA, NSA, DEA. Yeah. They all the brutality, the depraved brutality that the IDF consistently commits on camera, and you're watching it like, holy fuck, these people are horrible. Yeah, they turned that into a training program and sold it in the United States. Uh-huh. And what they're able to do is get really stupid people, and I'm talking like the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet, bought hook, line, and sinker. The Israel that you're protecting now is the one from the Bible. It's that simple. It's that simple. The way they have captured a people is telling you the Israel that you protect now is the one from the Bible. The one that you've been called. You're one of the chosen ones. And if you don't support Israel, you're seen as anti-Semitic. But here's what I want to point out. I host a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics, and I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm just not a big fan of Israel and Zionists as a whole. And I think any ideology that demands a genocide of a whole people in order for it to exist shouldn't exist. And the thing about it is, this decision, I had to make this decision in Mass Effect, by the way, to dethrone a world power or to allow it to commit a genocide, and you always decide to dethrone the intergalactic power in that specific in Mass Effect video game. You either gotta let them either fuck up your relationship with Rax and you let the genocide go, or you dethrone this intergalactic power that is seeking domination. They've determined that, and this was in a video game that came out like 15 years ago. See, there's a reason I didn't become an astronaut. It's because I practice escapism because reality is fucking insane. And you wind up getting really into shit like Mass Effect, where you're a space marine. hmm So take Israel, take Netanyahu out of power, delegitimize the IDF. Yeah, Bob, that's the only people that would take that job. Who on their in their right fucking mind. Correct. Not maybe right is probably not the correct word to use there, but who's in their right mind? Zeke said it's annoying how these news hosts are asking a mayoral candidate about Israel. Yeah. And the thing about it is follow Zoran Mamdani's playbook. When asked about Israel, I'm running for mayor of New York City. I care a lot about what happens here. I care about our Jewish community here in New York City. Oh, I asked you about Israel. Oh, well, Israel was founded in 1948 by David Ben-Gurion, who was then the head of the Jewish Agency. The purpose of Israel is to mimic the United States' imperialist and expansionist ways, as seen by their behavior. And I just want to point out that the IDF is committing a genocide in Gaza. Free Palestine. Next fucking question, please. See? No sweat off my brow, no weight on my shoulders. I feel like I'm the sane one. And it makes you not think that person's batshit fucking crazy. hmm And a lot of people will there are people that will shout out shit like Israel has the highest density of the Jewish population in the world, wishing for the delegitimacy of the IDF puts all those Jewish people in danger. And it's like, but y'all are committing a genocide, and if you have to do that in order to exist, you shouldn't exist. There, I said it. So maybe your ideology needs to muerte. Just throwing that out there. Maybe if a whole people has to cease to exist for you to exist, maybe you shouldn't exist. Ha! Maybe your idea is bad, you know? And think about it. They're not interested in like conversing. We're not we're not talking about it. They'll just straight up unalive you. I mean, who do you want? Who do I want what? I want all the women and poor women and children in Gaza to not get bombed to death. Oh, at quarterback for the Colts? AR. It's not close. I just want AR to be consistent and stay clocked the fuck in. Daniel Jones only represents a camp threat. He's a camp body, a camp arm. He's a really good camp arm. I'd argue Daniel Jones is the best camp arm the Colts have ever had. He's a really accurate quarterback. hmm But he fumbles and turns the ball over. and the team that he was on was fucking terrible. You know, make this atheist say amen. Yeah. So for the record, I want anyone that I know, if you call yourself Jewish, I want you to keep your faith, and the thing that you have to understand is that I want to say it's I want to say it's in the Bible, but it says like each man's faith is his own, right? And if your faith, if my faith that I don't have, by the way, I don't have that anymore. If my faith tells me mind my fucking business, if my faith tells me to mind my fucking business, and your faith calls for a genocide of a whole people, I'm thinking your whole shit is just fucked. I'm thinking that shit's fucked. No. And there's like, well, it's what we were meant to do. And it's like, no, 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 no. It's real bad. It's real bad. Hmm. But I am nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it. So again, I don't think it's actually difficult. By the way, the Fed confirms that it would have cut the rate now if it weren't for Donald Trump's tariffs. So all of you that are never able to buy or afford a home know that, Donald Trump is responsible for this. Fed would have cut the rates already if it weren't for. Oh, by the way, JD Vance, he thinks the millions of people that the big beautiful bill will kick off of their health care coverage, he thinks that it's minutia. AOC is about the only person slamming the passage of the big beautiful bill. If other people are out saying shit, that's good. 5150. Mm-mm-mm. I just wanted to make sure we victory lap the shit out of this. Zoran Mamdani won in the third round of the ranked choice election. He won by 12 points. That's a ass beaten. We need to be talking about it. Oh, and by the way, Alligator Alcatraz is a concentration camp. Call it what it is. Said New York is not messing around. I'm here for it. Yeah. Yep. Do you see why there's a problem with this poll where only 83% of Democrats say that ICE has gone too far? Do you see how that might be a problem? By the way, Lisa Murkowski sold out her constituents with her vote. Remember, the President of the United States has already floated the idea of having Mom Donnie arrested. That right there is the reason that I'm like, I'll volunteer as tribute. I won't seek public office. I'll be the founder of the American Socialist Party. I'll help in any way I can. I'll help fundraise. You gotta get, especially white people, white women. Hey, yep. Gabby, imagine what levels ICE will stoop to when they can put real bullets in their guns. Wait until the Proud Boys and the KKK, who that's who ICE is Proud Boys and KKK. Notice it's almost entirely white people. Yeah. hmm The Democratic establishment is torn apart over what to do over Zohran Mamdani. And I think that the answer is to embrace them and champion them, because if you can do that in New York City, it can happen anywhere. And I think, and for the record, I think my ideas are better. I think my ideas are better. But I also have come to understand that when you don't have power and you seek power, that's that's a that's like a whole ass reason to not vote for someone. Is you saw that there was a problem in the world and you said, "Here, let me drive." And it's like, well, if you aren't helping work toward a solution first and you just sought power, aren't you just like them, coming to the table with no real plan? Because they don't have a fucking plan. They just get in there and fuck shit up and make lives worse, right? Or otherwise try to stuff their own pockets. Um, and they have absolutely no problem now throwing millions of people off their healthcare coverage. And I understand that the estimate of the people that will die in the first year of this tax cut, of this bill, is only 11,000. And as I've said before, every single American, every single in this country, every one of you matters, American or not. And as I've said, the best thing that you can do is protect yourself. Make sure that the world knows and sees your face, that you make the world known, like, I'm healthy, happy, want to be here. hmm Please don't give up investigating when I perish. Like, please hold the people that hurt me accountable. You know what I'm saying? As we head to the gulag, keep it light and eat the rich, by the way. Turns out, biggest transfer of wealth in American history will also result in the death of A lot of poor people, man. A lot of poor people. Yep. Yep. One of the guys I served with, it's a big old boy, was in the initial invasion in Iraq. And this is a former college football player. So like he went to college to play football. He didn't get along with some of the guys in his position group, and he left the football program and still graduated and joined the Marine Corps. He enlisted after he graduated from college and did 4 years. Was in the original invasion. He's a huge man. His name was Corporal Morgan when I met him. He was about 6'5", about 240 pounds, built like a brick shithouse, just a huge fucking person. And what he had told me was, uh, when it really comes down to it, Marines are so devastating on a battlefield that there's no one to dominate. And that it was ultimately super fucking disappointing. Everything that we touch crumbles underneath us. Nothing's standing up to us. Nothing's giving us a good fight. Did all that work, got all the way there, didn't even need me. He didn't need me. That's how the guys that have actually been there felt. Hopefully a lot of people are finding that out, that being able to dominate other people, dominating a battlefield, it has fleeting feelings attached. It's going to leave them very empty. You'll never get in back of that position of power over other people ever again in your life because you're taking it by force. And you can't just live that way. You can't just like take everything by force. And they're going to find out. They're going to find out. And I am concerned about what happens with I think we forgot to talk about it, but the election investigations moving forward still. I don't know what'll come with it. Well, I don't know what'll come of it. I just know that they changed the rules as a result of the 2020 election, and that up to this point, it's just been too quiet. And I have to think part of it is people behaving a certain way in their for their own safety, and I think the other part of it is kind of not wanting to be in charge when climate change rears its ugly head. And I know that people don't want to hear that shit too. Like, oh, you mean more and worse? Yes, it is a scary time to be alive. All right. So, hey, yeah, it's gonna come out. Especially when he takes healthcare away from like 14 million people, you think they're gonna be like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, we need to protest, boycott, and strike. We need to stop doom scrolling all day on Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter. Stop shopping on Amazon. Try to do business locally. hmm When you think about, you need to be able to do business locally when you can't afford gas and have to walk everywhere. Have a good rest of your day.